Khan, shalom, brother.
Okay, Shalom is real. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai for allowing me to do another lesson. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect. And this lesson is going to be entitled, Let It Be On You. Salaki, let this truth be in you, not on you. And this guy, the guy that you're seeing in the red, he seemed like he had a sincere spirit. He had a, he had, a lot of knowledge of the doctrine and the gospel. But as he would, before, when he was introducing himself and as he was conversing with the Akim, he was telling us that he was basically, he didn't have a particular camp. So he was windowing with every wind. He was at this camp, then he moved and joined another camp, and then he moved and joined with another camp. And, as I said, he seemed like he had, a good amount of knowledge of the Bible, but as we see, he didn't really have a solid foundation. Why I say that? Because how he left. He said Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shabrakatah because we questioned him on the name, as well as other topics, like the RFID chip. Alright? But then he said Most High Christ bless. So it's like, which one is it, man? And now I'm looking back at it, it's like, did he say that just to appease us? To keep the peace? So as the scripture, as it is written, Ecclesiastes 7 and 8, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Alright, and that's how I come to that conclusion of how this truth has to be in you and not on you. Okay? And it was spiritual because also the woman, I don't know if the brother's seen, but there was a woman to the right of him, and she was asking us to break down Titus 1 and 10. And that's also, as I found, as I was thinking about camp yesterday, I found that was definitely through the spirit. Alright, and we're going to read that, and it all ties into the lesson. So this is Titus chapter 1, and I'm going to start at 10. She actually wanted us to start at 12, but I'm going to start at 10 for for understanding. It says, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. And this means that you have many that understand and know that they're Israelites. All right, that are leaders of these, various camps, IUIC, HODC, ISUPK. All right, so it says, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. Because you have many that say the Lord is with them, the Lord is dealing with them. All right, but they don't bring out prophecy. All right, they're not spiritual. They don't understand. They don't go into reincarnation. All right, they don't go into as I said, they don't really. They may touch on prophecy every so often. They don't go into the mark of the beast. Okay, they don't go into Israelite foreigners and stuff like that. So it says, and another thing I noticed that a lot of these guys do, they speak of themselves often. As if this word is about us, it's about Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. And brothers, as we bring that out, you should think about what the IUIC camp. If a man joins their camp, he has to bring his whole family in, man. Subverting whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake, for money. Okay? One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said the Cretians are liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. This witness is true. Wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in faith, because that's what it's all about, man, being sound in faith. All right? This basically meaning that this truth is, encapsulating your spirit. This is not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and to every good work reprobate. And it's not to tear the brother down, but at the same time, hey, this everything, that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai does for us, we should, take it as a lesson, you know? And you receive this truth. We understand that you receive this truth through men. All right, so the teachings that you follow, because you don't know any better when you first come in the truth. All right, so the teachings that you follow, proves, how can I put it? The teachings that you follow, they stay with you. Like they say, old habits die hard. So the things that you do, you learn from what? Your parents, man. What's the ones that are teaching us are our spiritual parents. And hey, I just found that profound, that even the woman that he was with, she asked us to break that down, Titus 1:10, which we briefly touched on it. But like I said, it's through the spirit going into what? The false pastors and those really false prophets who claim to be in the truth. All right, but they are just really they are really just as the wicked Pharisees, because not all the Pharisees were wicked, but they were just as the wicked Pharisees, who claimed to know Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, but all in all, they didn't, man. They just, they played the part. They were hypocrites, as Yahweh Shai called them. Now, I want to get into let's see. This article, all right, it's called Characteristics of a Pharisee. All right, so it says the Pharisees occupy a prominent position in the synagogue during, they say Jesus, but we know his real name is Yahweh Shai. They viewed themselves as the most dangerous, the best, the holiest, and the leaders of the people. They took the extensive laws of the Old Testament covenant and multiplied them and made them ridiculously specific. Their entire lives revolved around proving to themselves, to God, and to the people just how great they were, because of how they kept the externalities of the law according to how they themselves had written it. As Yahweh Shai said in Mark 7:6-7, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And that's a lot of these guys, man. They claim to love Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, which even I noticed too, a lot of these camps, these other camps, they provide gray areas, man. Like they'll say Most High Christ bless, or they you have the IUIC, Israelites United in Christ. When a letter J didn't come to around the 16th century. All right, so what were the Israelites United? What name was the Israelites United at that time, man? Or they'll push to keep the laws, but they themselves don't even keep the laws, man. Getting shape ups, you know what I'm saying? Pushing to go off on the Sabbath. Okay. So it says, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines the precepts of men. Basically teaching to, they omit things out of the scriptures, all right, to appeal to people's feelings, all right? Or they push certain things for their pocket's sakes, man. As the scriptures, as it is written in Jeremiah the 5th chapter, for among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set traps, they catch men. Because there's only one way to teach his word. All right? And you let the Bible back itself up, man. And that's what a lot of guys don't do. You notice that too, a lot of these guys. They'll say something, might bring out one precept and break it down their way. But the scriptures say what? Precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. All right? We are not to speak of ourselves. We speak of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. The That's why the scriptures say, what? Blessed is he that readeth. And also the scriptures tell us, hey, study to show thyself approved, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing of word and truth. Okay? So it says, even today, many talk a good talk, and even live lives of great sobriety and piety. You know? So in the outward appearance, they look good, man. Okay? Some consider themselves great moralists, while others claim a religious motivation and attachment. In either case, their hearts, because of their pharisaical attitudes, are far from God, despite what they might say or think. They may have food, perhaps they are involved in church, perhaps they give to the needy, and perhaps they have obtained their own checklist of righteous deeds. They feel vindicated before men and God, but are they truly righteous? According to Yahushua, verbal assault of the Pharisees in Matthew 23, the answer is a resounding no. Yahushua spoke to the crowds and the disciples, with the Pharisees likely listening and from a distance keeping tabs on Yahushua, which I'm gonna just keep going because I was gonna read in the Bible, but it says it here. It says in verse 3, which you know what? I'm gonna read it in the Bible and come back to that. Alright, so this is Matthew 23. Verse 1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. Because you will have certain guys who, may tell their congregation to go out, but they themselves don't go out, man. Every man of the Lord, if you claim to be a man of the Lord, a prophet of the Lord, you're supposed to be going out along with your men. Okay? So Yahushua said, look, they talk good, but they don't do it, man. Which shows that they are hypocrites. The scriptures say, love ye in word and in deed. So it says, all therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe that, observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. You even have certain camps out there, which, as I say again, that guy, he seemed like he had a sincere spirit, but he was all over the place, man. He was, the scriptures say, winded with many doctrines. So he would walk around with his garments on, man. Which, the scriptures say all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. Okay, there's people out there that want to take want to take our head off, man. There's people that completely hate the Hebrew Israelites. So really, is it wise to walk around daily with your with fringes and borders of blue on? All right. So it says, but all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts and the chief seats in their synagogues. Some of them even have, ridiculous commercials, man, claiming themselves to be the Most High, man. Like that dude Nate. I remember for I believe it was like a Passover commercial or whatever. You had basically all the congregation waiting for him to come in the room, and then he acts like he's Yahushua talking about arise Israel. So it says, and love the uppermost rooms and feasts and the chief seats in the synagogues and greeting in the markets, and to be called men rabbi, rabbi. But be ye not called rabbi, for one is your master, even Yahushua, and all are brethren. Now, of course, we have ranks under Yahushua. We have our apostles, the men that he set up to teach us the word. but basically don't worship a man as if he's the most high. All right, it says, and call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Yahweh Shai. So proving a point, you're not supposed to worship a man, or see a man as you will worship Yahweh Shai. Of course, you have men as spiritual leaders, as I said. Yahweh Shai even left disciples to teach us, man. But hey, man, he taught his disciples, all right, the right way to follow him, man. He himself, Yahweh Shai himself was of a great example. 2 Corinthians 8:9 says that our Lord was rich, but for our sakes he became poor, man. Because he knew, all right, they will follow him for his riches, man. But they wanted him to follow him for the spirit that he had within him, man. And that's the most important thing. If you don't get anything else, or you don't understand, who to follow, you're supposed to follow, a man through the spiritual, through his teachings, man. All right. And you know a man is a man, you can have good judgment of a man being a man of the Lord is by strictly teaching out the scriptures, man. Not speaking of himself, you know what I'm saying? But strictly speaking out the scriptures, giving you, all right, all of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? Now, going back into that article, it says Yahweh Shai railing against the Pharisees grew more, Salakia. Yeah, I skipped actually, I skipped 2 paragraphs. So it says, according to Yahweh Shai, verbal assaults on the Pharisees in Matthew 23, the answer is a resounding no. Yahweh Shai spoke to the crowds and the disciples, with the Pharisees likely listening and from a distance keeping tabs on Yahweh Shai. In verse 3, Yahweh Shai said, therefore all that they tell you, do and observe, but do not according to their deeds, for they say things and do not do them. In other words, the Pharisees knew the law and could teach it eloquently, but they didn't live it. If the Pharisees were honest with themselves, they would have seen their own shortcomings and sins. But receiving grace, we must acknowledge our sin but they couldn't and wouldn't do that despite their hypocrisy. In verse 4, Yahweh Shai said, they tip up heavy burdens and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves are unwilling to move them with so much as a finger. The Pharisees were ready and willing to point out the error of the people, but they were not willing to see their own errors. The delusion and denial that they possessed was astounding. Like our apostles, they push dudes to do the work because they themselves also do the work, man. You can't push a man to do something that you're not doing. And this is how people learn, man. For example, like as a child in this society, your parents might tell you, well, do as I say, not as I do. But you learn based off of what you see your parents doing, man. That sticks more. And these are good shepherds to the sheep. The ones that do what they say. The Pharisees were ready and willing to point out the error of the people, but they were not willing to see their own errors. The delusion and denial that they possessed was astounding. The reality is that they were full of self-seeking and self-glorification, seeking out the places of honor, titles of prestige, and apparel that flaunt superiority. There is no humility of heart of a servant, but rather a consistent elevation and praise of self. Yahweh Shai railing against the Pharisees grew more intense and specific in verse 13 through 36. Now let's jump to verse 13. All right. So Matthew 23 and 13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. What is a hypocrite? A hypocrite is an actor. For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Okay, so here it is, a man is diligently trying to learn. Okay, but you're basically stumbling his growth Not giving him all of Yahweh Shai, for your pockets, man. Or you might sell breakdowns, man. When knowing Jake is in a destitute state, he's selling breakdowns. The scriptures say, buy the truth and sell it not. Freely ye have received, freely ye give. Okay? So here's a man, learning, and then a commercial comes up, or you want more? Just buy this breakdown for $79.99, some BS like that. So it says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the great damnation. And that's another thing that I know they do over there at IUIC, man. If you are a woman that's seeking to learn, and your husband is not a man of the Lord, guess what? They push that you should leave that man. But according to the scriptures, let me just grab it, because the scriptures even preach against that, man. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Verse 12. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which have an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. Okay, basically meaning that even if a woman who believes, and she has a husband, she's supposed to continue with that man. But you're not supposed to push her to leave him because he's not a so-called he's not he doesn't believe in the truth. And the Apostle Paul even said Slack, I was going to get another precept. I can't remember that precept. And Apostle Paul here, he was speaking through the Spirit. Because the things that the people are doing now, the scripture say there's nothing new under the sun. They were doing back then. That's why the Apostle Paul, he had to speak these things to the church of Corinth. Okay, so going back to Matthew 23. In verse 15, it says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye can pass sea and land to make one proselyte. Okay, and that's that's a spirit, because you had Nate going over there to particular Trinidad and all these other places, Jamaica, all right, to basically try to wake a man up. Our apostles didn't have to do that, man. Let the internet do the heavy lifting, man. And when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. So basically you're not fit to be teachers, man. All right, because you just basically replicating yourself, man. Pushing a man saying it's okay to pop your wife on the Sabbath, and just pushing to do all the wickedness that you have done, man. As if, they weren't as wicked enough in the world. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind. For whether it is greater the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold. It says, whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. It says, ye fools and blinds, for whether it is greater the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift. Whosoever thereof shall swear by the altar sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And whoso shall swear by the temple sweareth by it, and by him that dwelleth therein. Ye fools and blind, for whether it is greater the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? Whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it and by all things thereon. All right, basically meaning that, it all counts, man. Everything you do in front of your congregation, it counts, man. Don't be hypocrite. Don't push a man to do one thing and it's okay to do the other, man. Going back into the law, man. If following the law it should get you saved according to a lot of these guys, then follow the law, man. All right, which we know also is faith. But I said according to their teachings. But they'll push to pay the tithes and get shape ups. But at the same time, you can pop your woman on the Sabbath. Whoso shall swear by the temple sweareth by it, and by him dwelleth therein. He that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Ye blind guides, which strain at the gnat and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye may clean the outsides of the cup and the platter, but within they are extortion, and excess. Thou blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Reading on. Which it says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye may clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. And actually that verse, it explains it. It says, Yahushua calleth them whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, yet full of death and uncleanness inside. These who considered themselves the ultimate success in law-keeping were called lawless by our Lord. They believed that they were so good that they would never have made the mistake of their forefathers, but Yahushua said differently. This pointed to their delusion. Verse 29 and 32. Which I might not read that far. But I believe, Akim got the point. The point was made. All right. Let this word be in you and not just on you, man. You want to follow Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and pray, man. Of course, pray for the Lord to open you up and give you that faith, man. Give you the understanding, okay, this is how I know what your name is. This is how I know who the real man of the Lord is, man. As it is also written, have thou faith, have it to thyself first. Last precept, Matthew 5 and 20. For I say unto you, actually, I'm going to start at 5 and 19. Whosoever thereof shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? So you want to do as well as teach to serve Yahweh Hashem Yahushua in all truth and sincerity. You want to do as well as teach prophet. Well, Salaki. You want to do as well as teach to serve Yahweh Hashem Yahushua with all truth and sincerity, man. All right? You want to push our people, the so-called Black Hispanics and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, whom the Lord came for, all right, to walk away from their sins, man. And of course, push repentance and faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man. Because we know we can't keep all the laws 100%. All right, but the ones you can't keep, you push, all right, others to the same, man. You know, keeping the Sabbath to the best of your ability, keeping it holy. All right, not listening to worldly music, but staying in the spirit, man. Meditating upon Yahweh Shimi Hawashai. Yeah, you may have to work, okay, but you don't have to pop your woman on the Sabbath. You don't have to cook on the Sabbath, okay. For I say unto you that except your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter the kingdom of heaven. All right. Hey, so with that, Lord willing, you Akim will edify. Shalom to the elect.